got there quick. Let's go to...
Are you ready for our main event?
Oh, boy, we got there quick. Let's go to the main event.
Yeah, we did. Mark Briscoe, Powerhouse Hobbs, and the new champion Hangnail Page against Dick the Boozer, Claudio, and Wheeler Useless. It's the same shit they were doing. They just switched the belt. We're not going to get rid of these guys. We're not going to not have to look at Moxley every week. They're going to do the same shit. The new world champion in a six-man tag still can't be rid of the Boar Horsemen. And they went for an extra run over this time because they didn't even ring the bell till 5 minutes to 10. They went to break 2 minutes later, came back at 10 o'clock. The crowd was deathly silent. They go 5 minutes, take another break. They're taking breaks in the overruns now. And finally, I don't know if this may be the stupidest thing that anybody's ever done in a wrestling ring, because it wasn't just one person going into business for themselves. Multiple people had to plan that this was going to happen and think that this was a thing you should do. Brian, I will tell you what they did, and then I will let you tell the people why that it's fucking stupid. Rather than me, the experienced veteran, I'll let you, the talented amateur. Claudio gets Page up on his shoulders for the Doomsday device, like the Road Warriors.
Right.
Oh, Wheeler comes off the top rope with the clothesline for the Doomsday device, like the Road Warriors, right? And he hits him with it. Guess what Page did? He flipped backwards, landed on his feet, no-sold the clothesline, and made a comeback. Followed by a backflip off the top to the floor, where then five other people did moves to each other, and then Page jackknifed Claudio 1, 2, 3. Brian, what's the stupid part of landing on your feet from the Doomsday device and making a comeback?
I don't know.
It's easy. If they would bother to stop and think for 1 second, they would realize that it's not the goddamn bump that is supposed to be the devastating thing about the Doomsday device. It's the clothesline.
That's right.
You're being held up in the air, and a guy's flying off the top rope and clotheslining you, and he hits you so hard it turns you a flip and you land on the fucking ground. But apparently Wheeler is so weak he couldn't pull a greasy string out of a cat's ass, because he just clotheslined the guy, and the guy just backflipped, landed on his feet, and made a comeback. The wrestlers don't even know how wrestling works, because they're so indie-minded. They're more worried about, oh, I can do this, rather than, well, wouldn't it be stupid if you did? So then Moxley jumped on Page, and the heels got heat. The same shit they've been doing for months and months. And then the lights go out, and Darby Allin is in the balcony. And while Darby Allin is in the balcony and Moxley is staring with that stupefied look on his face, Page buckshots Moxley, even though they had just beaten him up just seconds before. And then everybody left. 15-minute overrun. They're doing the same shit they've been doing. Nothing has changed, not even the people. They just switched the fucking belt. They've learned nothing. Those are my thoughts.
Another banner episode of AEW Dynamite. What do you think about this as a episode?
Go out, and Darby Allin is in the balcony. And while Darby Allin is in the balcony and Moxley is staring with that stupefied look on his face, Page buckshots Moxley, even though they had just beaten him up just seconds before. And then everybody left. 15-minute overrun. They're doing the same shit they've been doing. Nothing has changed, not even the people. They just switched the fucking belt. they've learned nothing. Those are my thoughts.
Another banner episode of AEW Dynamite. What do you think about this as a episode coming off the pay-per-view?
Well, I didn't think much of it as an episode anywhere. Coming off of, going into, it did nothing. What has changed? What are we looking forward to? Osprey's gone. One of their big baby faces. Like, see what he's going to do. No. Fucking, all we saw was 6-man tags, 8-man tags, 4 ways with girls for $100 grand. More multi-person gaga with the same people that we thought we might get rid of in favor of some new people that we don't see enough of. I guess Darby's back.
Darby's back. And Moxley appears to be petrified.
It's good to see Darby's back, especially after seeing his front.
All right, well, that was AEW Dynamite for July 16th, 2025.
What about the Arcadian Vanguard Network? Cal Felcher beat Masquerita Dorito in 11 minutes. So now they're doing the thing where the Hardley boys are being bullied and made fun of and talked down to because they're not EVPs anymore. And now everybody can say what they really think. Like they couldn't to begin with, right? Renee Moxley Good made fun of them. And Marina Schaefer blew them off without speaking to them. And they found their locker room door and a guy was crossing out EVPs with a black Sharpie. But they can't even do this.
Yeah, why would they have the locker room then?
Well, but besides that, they're acting. And that's what it was, acting. They act because they're trying to be funny somehow. They amuse themselves, I guess. But they were trying to be funny with the bad acting. And so it's not even convincing that they're really upset or that anybody's doing anything to them. It's just bullshit, like in one of their little YouTube videos. And they tell Don Fallis, well, we're not going to join your family, but we might be friends. This is continuing. I thought they were writing them off the show. I foolishly hoped that they'd realize nobody wants to see these two fucking jack-offs. But no, they're going to continue it. They're just not EVPs anymore. So they're going to be phony in a lesser role. Because then they come out for their match with Josh Alexander and Chia. Isn't Josh Alexander a heel?
I thought he was part
No,
of the
I forgot.
stable, wasn't he?
Well, hold on. This is what I'm writing. I said they come out for a match with Chia, Josh Alexander. And I wrote, isn't Josh Alexander a heel? Then I realized it's an 8-man tag team match. I saw the other team come out, then here come these two nitwits saying, okay, no, it's an 8-man. But they get a separate entrance where they don't get pyro. The video shows them getting beat up. And they get a phony ring announcement where the announcer is like, he doesn't care about it. So now these four have to go in an 8-man tag with Hong Kong Phooey, Bandito, Kevin Knight, and Brody King. Another 8-man tag. Why don't they try to set something up or get somebody over by having a straight tag team match? We forgot. Because they can't. The Hardley boys need multiple people to play with and bounce off of and alley-oop them up in the air. So everybody in the match finally hits somebody with everything, while that hollow-eyed, hairless, slack-jawed imbecile Rick Knox just stood there and gaped at him. And they did some really phony shit and beat Bandito. And the heels beat the baby faces. I don't think they cheated. You can't really tell. They just kind of beat them. But that was 15 minutes. Are they not even smart enough to realize now they did a job on the pay-per-view, so now if they're going to still be on the program, they should come out and kind of get a win back in a tag match and do something to impress someone somehow?
Oh, that's the boring old way they used to do things, Grandpa. We do things differently. We don't rely on those old wrestling tropes, until everything doesn't work.
What did Uncle Dave think about all of this? Certainly, he took a stand on the distastefulness of the final contest, but we'll find out when we get there.
Well, we have it here. This is the new Wrestling Observer newsletter for, what's the date on this thing? July 21st, 2025. The star ratings for All In Texas, the day-long extravaganza. You could have fit every parade of champions inside of the length of this show. The opening contest, Jim, Marshall and Ross Von Erich and Dustin Rhodes and Sammy Guevara, beating Shane Taylor, Lee Moriarty, Charlie Bravo, and Sean Dean 7 minutes 12 seconds. 2.25 stars.
Well, we didn't see it, so we can't take them to task for that, but one would think with the way that he just bestows stars like Tinkerbell sprinkling a fucking fairy dust that you would give the Von Erichs a few more stars and in the heart of Texas, but that's just me.
Well, again, we didn't see it. Something's causing Swami to go ape shit in the background.
See, Swami doesn't even agree with these things.
Big Boom AJ and Hologram and Tomohiro Ishii and Kyle O'Reilly, there's a team for you, defeated Rocky Romero, Trent Beretta, Lance Archer, and Hechicero, who just signed the contract.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to say, obviously, you have to think that anything that the earlier guys were involved in, the Von Erichs in Texas, a few of those, Dustin Rhodes, great worker, got 2.5 stars. This conglomeration of mess, the only reason it's going to get more than that is because there's a Japanese fellow in it.
I don't know if that's the reason, but in 12 minutes and 50 seconds, 3-star match.
There you go.
Jim, FTR, defeated the Outrunners, 16 minutes, 18 seconds, 3-star match.
I would think that's kind of right down the middle. FTR can get something out of most folks. Didn't go overboard, but didn't say it stunk. Maybe he's going to be realistic today.
Says the Outrunners dressed as Newport menthol cigarettes. It was actually a Newport's chant during the match. It was good, but nothing compared to their TV match. So apparently they had a match, I'm going to guess, on Collision. That was better than 3 stars. Samoa Joe, Katsuyori Shibata, and Powerhouse Hobbs, otherwise known as the Ops, defeated Gabe Kidd, Claudio Castagnoli, and Wheeler Yuta, 14 minutes, 30 seconds. 3.75 stars.
Oh, good. All right, here we start again. Now, if it's on the main show, everything's got to be 3.5 or above. Another multiple man match, but we saw that. And now I guess that means all the pre-show matches stunk if this was better than them.
MJF won the Casino Battle Royal, 34 minutes, 51 seconds, 4-star match.
They had the ingredients of something in there. They got sidetracked and it went a while and et cetera, but again, this is, we're not talking about Undertaker, Michaels, Angle, fucking Flair, Steamboat territory in any of this shit. And it's embarrassing at this point for Uncle Dave.
This is what he wrote about the Adam Cole promo. He apparently seriously considered announcing his retirement, but said that he's just not in the frame of mind to say anything about it yet. This shocked the crowd silent, and they stayed that way for a while. Dustin Rhodes won the TNT Championship over Sammy Guevara, Kyle Fletcher, and Daniel Garcia. 15 minutes, 21 seconds, 3-star match.
I mean, I would think that one would have been better than the opening match, and we didn't even care for it, but nevertheless.
Swerve Strickland and Will Ospreay defeated the Young Bucks, 26 minutes, 17 seconds.
Here we go.
5.5 star match. This was one of the best tag team matches ever held in the U.S.
Oh my God.
And it was particularly impressive the way they turned the crowd around.
What, and had him heading for the aisles? What is he talking about? How they turned the crowd around?
I guess because they were dead silent for the Young Bucks coming out there and for the early portion of the match before they started kicking out of every single move they could do. The crowd wasn't as into it.
So this is what you have to do to have the... Now, by the way, the best tag team match in the United States, at least in 35 or 40 years or so, did come from AEW, but as we recall, it was FTR versus Jay White and Juice Robinson out of nowhere on Collision, I think 2 summers ago. I still have that show on my DVR. That was one of the best matches I've seen in years from anybody, any company. This was not that. This was a collection of fucking amateur gymnasts trying to land on their feet whenever they wanted to and show everybody that this is a bunch of horse shit instead of a goddamn legitimate sport.
And you see it more and more today than ever before. The people don't react to the Bucks, they react to the spots.
Well, yeah, because nobody gives a shit about these 2 turd blossoms, and they haven't for a long time. And when they start doing all the flips, everybody, ah! And then it's over with, and they wait for people to do more flips or fall through more furniture. But no, that this was the best of anything, no. Except, again, if they're auditioning for America's Got Talent, the tumbling routine was wonderful. But this is Dave's issue. Yeah, this is Dave's issue. He likes to watch children play. I'm beginning to worry about him. Has he got a raincoat?
Jim Athena, I don't know if he has a raincoat. Athena won the women's gauntlet match for a title shot. 26 minutes, 59 seconds, 4-star match.
Of course it was. I mean, again, this was in the middle of this 7-hour fucking journey through misery. We didn't watch it. I don't care what he thought of it.
All right, well, the next match, Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin, the Hurt Syndicate, won a 3-way to retain their titles over Christian Cage and Nick Wayne, and Mike Bailey and Kevin Knight. 18 minutes, 59 seconds, 4-star match.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Was he also grading on the ridiculousness of the multiple angles at the end of the thing and the whole awkwardness of this whole quasi-turn that somebody is doing?
Yeah, it appears he just recounted what happened without any opinion or conjecture.
Okay. I mean, I love the Hurt Syndicate. They did the best they could, but this was a mess.
Toni Storm defeated Mercedes Moné to retain her AEW Women's Championship, 25 minutes, 12 seconds, 4 3/4 stars.
Okay. It never ends. Every match is just greater than the next. Just absolutely greater than the next. And now they're almost at 5 stars. Okay.
Kazuchika Okada defeated Kenny Omega 30 minutes, 31 seconds to unify.
All right, now here's the test. Here is the fucking test. He's seen great American matches. He's seen great Japanese matches. This was neither. It was 2 guys that used to do great things that can't anymore, and one of them doesn't try, Okada. Certainly, he had to be disappointed, considering what they have done in the past, what they've been capable of, with what they turned out here.
4 3/4 stars. The strategy was to treat this not as match 5 of the 2017 to 2018 series, with the idea many people watching had not seen that prior series, but as match 1 of the AEW 2025 series.
They did that. It was a match, and you don't want to see it again.
I think even fans of Omega, and I guess even maybe Okada, I think even they think the interference was a bit much for the match. But the main event, Adam Page defeated Jon Moxley to win the AEW World Championship Texas Death Match. 35 minutes, 53 seconds, 5.5 stars.
This convoluted mess, this garbage-minded wrestling match, alleged wrestling match, between these two dipshits who don't have any idea how to put anything together, the multiple hospitalization angles, multiple referees being buried by people wandering around just doing shit for the sake of it, people running in, diving in, rappelling in, blood being splattered everywhere, people being stabbed with forks and thrown through furniture and goddamn carried out on stretchers and falling in broken glass and well, didn't they have something around? They had the chair wrapped in barbed wire. And he thinks this is somehow a great accomplishment in our dear sport.
According to Dave Meltzer, this was
And the work is rotten. And the work, when you talk about Moxley, his work is rotten. Go ahead.
According to Dave Meltzer, this was an epic Texas death match, perhaps the best one I've ever seen.
Oh.
And it's not the kind of match I like at all. But given the story, the interference was part of it and not a crutch for it, and the weapons were also part of the story. The story being that Moxley's a moron who likes these stupid weapons, I guess.
And likes to slice himself up on purpose in front of people.
Well, there they are, and just to complete the night, real quick, I'll give you the star ratings for Saturday night's main event. Orton beating Drew McIntyre, 8 minutes, 24 seconds, 2 3/4 stars. Not to say it was any better than that or worse than that. Solo Sikoa defeated Jimmy Uso, 10 minutes, 48 seconds, 3 3/4 stars.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
LA Knight.
That wasn't 3 3/4 if the first one was 2.5.
No, I don't think so. LA Knight defeated Seth Rollins, 11 minutes, 36 seconds, 3.5 stars.
What?
And Gunther defeated Bill Goldberg, 14 minutes, 19 seconds, 3.5 stars.
I think he's gone out of his mind for everybody, but he just loves the other folks more. But it's ridiculous that suddenly this one company has done what no other wrestling promotion in the history of the world has ever done, and that's put on like 18 5-star matches over the course of this, all of it with bad work, holes you could drive a semi-truck through in the booking, unconvincing promos, and a bunch of fucking children out there doing their tumbling routines, and this is his dream wrestling promotion. This is why, because they listen to him, because Tony's a mark for him. Tony's a mark for everything. And the boys just want this praise. They'll never get any better because they won't change anything because he's telling them this is all great.
For the record, a match I thought was really good. Women's Evolution main event. Naomi winning the world title during Io versus Rhea. 26 minutes, 18 seconds, 4 3/4 stars. Almost there. Almost got it. It's as good as 5, but it's not 5. But it's as good as 5, if you learn.
Speaking of people that have been put off, or are off-put, or maybe pissed off might be better. We said on the whatever show we just recently did talking about the Saturday night's main events with specifically Goldberg, and they went off the air on his speech, and it was not a shining moment of broadcast for the WWE's history as far as putting a show together with all of the that went on. And Goldberg is coming, and I just saw something before we get into this. I saw something where he was quoted as saying, well, I got about 2 more weeks and then I can say what I want. Like he already hadn't been saying what he wanted.
Yeah, I saw that.
But he's
too.
like,
yeah, what is that?
I don't know, maybe he signed a 2-week non-disclosure if they fuck up my retirement. I have no idea, but he's already said, well, I would have wanted it on pay-per-view to begin with, which, again, to be honest, is kind of a thing you would have expected, you know, for a guy with that name. If they were going to do this at all, right? And he's complaining because Cena has a year, you know, retirement tour going on there, making a big deal out of it. That's a little much, as Mama Cornette used to say, because Goldberg's not in the shape Cena's in as far as being able to still work a schedule and blah, 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 and all those things.
Yeah, Goldberg actually makes contact with the people he works with, so he gets hurt too. Cena's
yes, and by the way, get well, poor Charles Robinson, 60 years old, who got a cracked rib from that spear. Goddamn, we're too old for that. But Goldberg has valid complaints that he has been registering and that they did rush it. He said, you know, he would have loved to have announced it 3 months ago and done some kind of build, not to dominate television every week, but Jesus Christ, with all those hours of TV, and as we've talked about, many of them with plenty of travel logs and spots and backstage vignettes, but they could have spared a little time for something like that, but they kind of rushed it and they put it on Saturday night's main event, and then somehow managed to mismanage.
Yeah. Oh.
And
I reckon.
Everybody has pointed out that,
6.
and we'll get into what Dave thinks about Seth Rollins in a second, but as we're talking about one topic, one conspiracy theory here, Goldberg.
Well, technically,
if the thing went wrong in the Seth Rollins match, then they should have had more time.
Okay, so how do I lock the door when I leave?
And theoretically,
How am I locking the door when I leave?
they still had enough time to do. You know, we were thinking before we said this, Brian, it needs to be hard-hitting, you know, exciting, big moves, quick in and out, and don't let it drag type of thing. And they didn't. They 15 minutes.
Well, I reckon, but I'm not going to be here when you get back.
And so was the time of the match, if they planned his speech in the ring and all those people were in the ring and he was saying shit and it was recorded for YouTube or whatever the fuck, it's not like they all went into business for themselves. And why would you not have some type of acknowledgement like that on Goldberg's
What time's that?
retirement? So the point being,
Okay.
how did they botch this unless the match went twice as long as it was supposed to, and they didn't have time for the interview? But Goldberg is acting like it's a complete surprise to him that happened. And I got to be honest with you, from having been in multiple companies, including that one in the truck, if they had even a 3-minute interview speech planned at the end and had to do a break before that, they would have been screaming in the referee's ear, tell them we're going off the fucking air if they don't go home in 1 minute. But you didn't see any semblance of panic in the finish of that match, like, oh shit, like they just started rushing shit, right? So regardless of what's going on with Seth Rollins, and regardless of what the timing was or wasn't, or whether they went short or long, I don't understand how this happened. Either they weren't supposed to have a goddamn ceremony in the ring at all and just decided to do it, but even then, they were almost off the fuck because they still had another break to go in the program. So they were butting up on being off the air with just the match. Again, they would have been signaling in the truck if there was some issues. But was it what I said the other day? and I hate to be rambling here, but none of it makes any sense. Other than just a sloppy television production. Was Gunther having to slow down and wait for Goldberg not to vomit, possibly, if he was blown up, before that he could pick Gunther's big ass up and fucking jackhammer him? Who knows what the fuck? But anyway, I don't blame Goldberg for being pissed. Do you?
Not one bit. And, you know, not that this is the same thing, but it's not even the same person running the show, but there's a history of WCW wrestlers kind of being diminished. Remember the Sting Triple H match at WrestleMania, which was kind of bizarre. It was really entertaining, but it was a weird way to finish things off. And then Sting was like, you know, that's not the way I want to go out. Let me ask you this. No, I don't think Goldberg is wrong to be upset. I think WWE should have built this thing better. That was the thing that really got Goldberg was a draw on pay-per-view even. Again, it's a different audience. It's a different time. Goldberg was a draw. Build this thing up. Make people care about the last match. It just popped up. They did the angle way back where Gunther hit Goldberg's son or whatever. But then it was like 6 months between that and Goldberg appearing again. And then it was a couple of weeks until the match on a Saturday night's main event in between pay-per-views. And then they screw him where they go from the finish right to a commercial as quick as they've ever done ever in the history of WWE. And then they cut off his speech, which obviously meant a lot to him. Taking all the negatives of Tony Khan out of the equation and AEW and any issues, you know, just the way they do things. Should Tony Khan, if Goldberg's upset and Goldberg's talking like he wants a final match that does it right still, is it worth it even for the positive publicity of doing something right for a wrestler after WWE did it wrong? Is it worth trying to do something?
I think that you're opening up a can of peas where that, because if Goldberg is pissed off about, you know, the unprofessionalism that feels like he's dealt with up there, imagine what he'd feel like when he was having to try to deal with these people.
Tony would make him feel like a king. There'll be chaos all around, and it's AEW and the system of AEW, and that is what it is. But Goldberg and his family will have never been treated better in his entire time in professional wrestling. I know it's funny, but I'm being very serious.
Well, no, maybe in his entire life, I was envisioning they were going to carry him on a giant pillow like a fucking sultan into the goddamn... Well, first of all, I'm not trying to say after we acknowledged some of his shortcomings that he did seem... The aura was not what it once was, because how could it be? He's almost 60 and he was kind of limping around. So he couldn't do like a Cena thing. And we acknowledged that, you know, the reactions were not like Stone Cold, because it's been a while. Maybe Network was a better presentation for the age group and the older people that would be Goldberg's base audience. So that, you know, it wasn't like he was going to have a big pay-per-view built around him. But as a network television program, if they're going to do it, that they didn't, and I forget who was Solo and fucking Uso or whatever, did that need to be there rather than on Raw? Or whatever.
Yeah. If
they weren't going to do it to where they formatted it to where not only there would be a match, but there would be some kind of celebration, acknowledgement, whatever the fuck you want to call the deal, and with honoring with the clips throughout it, etc., and building up to be a bigger thing, because that still could have been a major NBC television program in his hometown. Where was the mayor? Was the mayor of it? God damn it. Get the mayor of Atlanta to come out and say it's Goldberg Day, or what, it just, some kind of shit as a presentation. It was sloppily done. So I don't blame him for not feeling like, well, that was my fucking retirement. So if he wanted to do one on any kind of main platform, pay-per-view, national television, whatever, he would have to talk to Tony, who as you said, and I am sure, wink, wink, nod, nod, without revealing any confidentiality, he'd love to speak to Goldberg. But does Goldberg want to fucking then, again, just take a chance on going through all this bullshit again? Who's he going to fucking jackhammer down there?
And again, they're different people, and different people react to situations in different ways. But look at the way Sting was treated on his way out. Look at Sting's retirement match, which was such a big deal for them, even though, again, a lot of shortcomings in terms of promotion and different things. But obviously, other than the pay-per-view cutting off in the middle of the speech, I guess it's just a thing that happens when you end the show with that. They did better by Sting than WWE did by Goldberg. And again, I'm not saying have Goldberg out there every week, and I'm not saying anything, but they rushed, like you said, an NBC Goldberg retirement should be a big deal. You know, Saturday night's main event, when it originally aired, it didn't start with the main event, and it didn't end with the main event. The main event was usually timed to be around midnight, and then there was still more show after that. They didn't do that here. They started with the Jelly Roll thing, which, in terms of...
I can't believe you said those words.
Well, in terms of mainstream acceptance, that's a big deal. So you can't really blame them for starting off the NBC show with people that maybe people who aren't wrestling fans would... Whoever actually flips through television channels nowadays would see them and go, hey, what's going on here? But like you said, there was other things on that show that didn't need to be on at least before that. They should have gone to the Goldberg match second. And I don't understand why they didn't. You can't tell me that the solo match would have done as well in the ratings as a Goldberg speech with random people in the background. You're trying to figure out who's who. So they did wrong by him. I actually think Goldberg's right to be mad about this.
Well, there's going to be some TV nerds, and then we'll talk about who else has chimed in with his fucking 2 cents, and I think he needs some fucking change back. But some of the TV nerds out there are going to say, well, the original Saturday night's main event, it was 11:30 to 1. So the big match was about midnight, and then it slows down. You're fighting sleep. There's attrition in the hut levels. This was different. It was 8 to 10, and they wanted to peak with the big, blah, blah, blah. But again, then manage your fucking time better and lay the thing out better, and or have a better format to fucking begin with to account for these things. And you can't mean to tell me that if they'd have had 3 or 4 extra minutes at the end, that it would have been, it looked as bad and as clunky and as unprofessional, with them just filling time with announcer reactions and the people cheering and drop some fucking balloons, whatever, than just going to a break out of the middle of nowhere, coming back to see the guy in the ring for 10 seconds, and it was just